The thing is, I did not think needing air made me cruel. 2 kids, one anniversary envelope, and of course I called it our trip until Chloe arrived. I told myself Miles liked handling the children because he was better at practical things anyway. By sunrise, my suitcase was the only family left in the suite. My name is Amanda Reyes. I was 37, and I worked as a senior client experience director for a luxury family travel agency. The thing is, I knew how to make tired parents believe a week near blue water could turn them back into people. 2 children, one wet towel, and of course I still thought I was the woman who understood escape better than anyone. The swim lesson lobby smelled like chlorine, damp socks, and the rubber floor mats that always stayed wet near the benches. Emma sat beside me with her goggles pushed up into her hair, reading the same page of her book for the third time. Noah was under the plastic chair trying to make a dinosaur swim through a puddle. Miles came in carrying the swim bag, the towels, the snack box, Noah's missing sandal, and the sunscreen stick he always clipped to the side pocket. My husband looked calm in that careful way he had, like every small problem in the room had already been named and placed in a row. Years before, that calm had saved me. When Emma was born and I had not slept for more than 2 hours in weeks, Miles used to bring coffee to the bedroom and take her outside in the stroller before sunrise. He would walk the same block until she stopped crying. Then he would come back and say the air was good, as if air could fix a woman who had forgotten her own body. That was real. I need that said. But real things can become small when they only happen in private. At work, I built packages called renewal weekends and reconnection escapes. At home, renewal looked like Miles remembering snacks, paying bills early, and checking whether the car had enough fuel before school drop-off. He sat beside me in the swim lobby and asked softly if something had changed between us lately. Not what was wrong, not what I wanted, just what had changed. What he meant was that he missed me. What I heard was that he had found another problem to inspect. I told him work had been heavy. Of course I said that. Work was the clean place where I hid from the messier answer. Later that night, he gave me an envelope in our bedroom. Inside was Greece. 2 weeks, a resort, family activities, a private beach, and a sunset anniversary dinner for our 15th year. I cried because it was beautiful. I also cried because he had planned another perfect thing without asking what kind of woman he was taking there. My phone buzzed while he watched my face. Chloe had written that mothers were allowed to want one trip when nobody needed them. I smiled before I could stop myself. Miles saw it and looked at the envelope instead of my phone. The airport check-in line smelled like coffee, perfume, and the tired panic of families who had packed too much. Noah had a toy dinosaur in one hand and half a granola bar stuck to his shirt. Emma kept asking if Greece had sharks. Miles had the passports clipped together, the boarding passes open on his phone, and the sunscreen stick still hanging from the outside pocket of the carry-on. The thing is, a man who remembers everything can start to make you feel like one more thing being remembered. 2 suitcases, 1 stroller, and of course everyone around us probably saw a lucky woman. I saw a trip that already had a schedule before we had even left the ground. Miles stood behind me and touched the handle of my suitcase. He said he still could not believe we were finally doing this. He said it softly, not like a man demanding gratitude, but like a man holding a fragile glass. I told him it was beautiful. I meant it. Then my phone buzzed. Chloe had sent 3 messages before security. She said I needed to send photos. She said Greece was wasted on family naps and early dinners. She said if Miles had paid for paradise, the least he could do was let me enjoy it. I typed back that it was still our anniversary trip. My thumb hovered before sending it. Then another message came from her saying that wives were allowed to be women on vacation. That line stayed under my skin. On the plane, I rested my head on Miles's shoulder. Noah kicked the seat in front of him until Miles made a quiet game out of counting clouds. Emma read beside the window. For a few minutes, I almost let myself become soft again. Miles asked if I wanted to look at the resort itinerary. He said he had kept the first day easy because he knew travel drained me. What he meant was that he had thought of my tiredness. What I heard was that even my exhaustion had been organised. I told him I would look later. The resort looked unreal when we arrived. White walls, blue water, flowers hanging over balconies, and warm air that smelled like salt and coconut sunscreen. Emma said it looked like a movie. Noah said he lived there now. Miles laughed and reached for my hand. Then my phone rang. Chloe's face appeared on the screen, loud and laughing before I even answered. She said I would not believe it. She was on the same island. Tessa and Maribel were with her. Their hotel was 10 minutes away. I said no way too loudly. Miles looked at me with a smile that stayed careful. He asked if Chloe was here. I told him it was unbelievable. I said it was fate, because that sounded lighter than admitting how fast my chest had opened. He said that was funny. He did not say it badly. He did not accuse me. He only looked at the resort path, then at Emma and Noah, then back at my phone. That should have been enough for me to slow down. Instead, I called Chloe back from the balcony after the children were asleep. The white table outside was still warm from the day. Miles was inside unpacking the sunscreen, swim shirts, medicine bag, chargers, and the little travel folder he had printed in case the internet failed. Chloe said she wanted breakfast in the morning. She said no kids, no husbands, no family performance, just coffee by the water. I told her maybe. The word was small. It made room for everything. The next morning, I woke before Miles and dressed quietly. The resort suite was dim and cool. Emma and Noah were still asleep. Miles was on his side, one hand near the edge of the bed, close enough that I could have touched it. I did not. At breakfast, Chloe hugged me like I had survived something heroic by getting out before the children woke up. Tessa told me I looked alive already. Maribel said the light in Greece was doing what marriage had failed to do. I laughed because the table made laughing easy. When I returned to the suite, Miles was awake and packing the pool bag. Noah wanted cereal. Emma wanted to know why I had eaten without them. Miles asked, specific and calm, why I had gone to breakfast with Chloe when the first morning was supposed to be family time. One named thing. One real question. The thing is, I had already prepared my defense before he finished asking. I said I did not want to wake him. I said he had been tired. I said it was only breakfast, not a crime. What he meant was that he had imagined our first morning together. What I heard was that he wanted to count my minutes. Miles nodded. That was all. He handed Noah a shirt and told Emma they would still make the buffet before the pancakes were gone. A small change happened then. He did not ask me to come. He left the door open long enough for me to follow, then closed it softly when I did not move. At the pool, Chloe waved from 4 lounge chairs near the bar. She had already ordered iced coffees. Tessa had her phone out. Maribel was rubbing oil on her arms. I stood there in my new white cover-up while Miles knelt beside Noah, working sunscreen over his nose. Chloe said the island clearly wanted me back. I told myself she meant back to myself. Miles looked up once. The sunscreen stick was in his hand, its cap between his teeth because Noah kept moving. I thought he looked useful. I hate that this was the word that came to me first. Later, I posted the first photo from Greece, blue water, my legs near the pool, Chloe's glass raised beside mine. The caption said, "Finally breathing." Miles was not in the frame. By the 3rd day, the resort staff knew Miles before they knew me. That should have embarrassed me, but I turned it into proof that he liked being useful. The thing is, some men move through vacation like they are still responsible for the weather. 2 towels, 1 snack bag, and of course I told myself the children were happier with him anyway. The main pool had pale stone edges and white umbrellas that snapped softly in the wind. Every morning Miles took Emma and Noah to the shallow end while I walked toward Chloe's chairs. He carried goggles, sunscreen, water bottles, dry shirts, and the small plastic bag of Noah's dinosaurs. I carried my phone and a book I never opened. Chloe said I had finally learned how to delegate. Tessa asked Miles to take a photo of us. He did. Then another. Then one from lower down because Chloe said the angle made everyone look expensive. Miles smiled politely and adjusted his stance while Noah called for him from the pool steps. I told him just one more. One more became 7. When Miles handed the phone back, Chloe said Amanda had brought the best travel accessory. A husband with childcare instincts. Everyone laughed. I did too. Miles did not. He only turned toward Noah, who had dropped his goggles again. That afternoon I posted 3 photos. Me with Chloe at the pool. Me walking toward the beach club. Me under a white umbrella with a drink I had barely touched. The trip looked like a girl's vacation because that was the story my hands kept choosing. Emma asked at dinner why there were no pictures of Dad. I told her Dad hated photos. Miles looked at me then, and his fork stayed still near his plate. What he meant by that look was simple. He had taken every photo I asked for. He had stood outside every frame because I placed him there. What I heard was accusation without words. After dinner, Chloe texted that Nikos from the beach club had asked if we were coming tomorrow. She said he had remembered my name. She added that some men did not need 15 years to notice a woman. I read the message twice on the balcony. Miles came out with 2 cups of tea. He asked if I wanted to walk by the water after the kids slept. His voice was careful, not weak, just careful. I said I was tired. I was not tired. I wanted the beach club. Nikos was not handsome in a dangerous way. That would make this sound cheaper than it was. He had dark hair, a linen shirt, and the calm skill of a man who made tourists feel like they had discovered the island instead of paid for it. When he saw me the next day, he said my name with both syllables warm. He said I looked less like a guest and more like someone who had finally found the right weather. Of course, I laughed. Miles was 20 feet away, crouched beside Noah with the sunscreen stick again. Emma was asking him to fix her braid. The cap had rolled under the lounge chair. He reached for it without looking, because Miles always reached for small things before anyone had to ask. Nikos asked if my husband was joining us. Chloe answered before I could. She said Miles had his hands full with the kids. I added that he liked it that way. The sentence came out light. Lightness can carry a blade if the room wants to laugh. Later, at the resort cafe behind the decorative plants, Chloe ordered a round of sparkling wine. Nina Costa sat beside Maribel, quieter than the rest. She had kind eyes and the watchful face of someone who had learned not to laugh too soon. Chloe raised her glass and said Amanda had cracked the code. She said I got Greece, beach clubs, and a free babysitter. My body knew to laugh before my mind weighed the sentence. Tessa laughed. Maribel laughed. Nikos smiled without committing to the joke. Nina Costa lifted her phone from the table, not high, just enough to catch the moment. I said Miles was happier with the children anyway. I said some men needed a job to feel important. The laughter thinned after that, but I kept smiling because stopping would have made the words heavier. Behind the plants, a glass clicked against a saucer. I turned and saw Miles at the cafe counter with Emma and Noah. Emma had chocolate near her mouth. Noah held a small cup of ice cream with both hands. Miles looked at me for 1 second. His face did not break. That almost made it worse. He did not come over. He paid, took the children, and walked back toward the beach path. Chloe looked down at her glass. For the first time, her smile arrived late. I told myself Miles was being dramatic. Of course I did. Drama made him the problem and left me with the sun, the glass, the women, and the feeling that I had finally become visible again. That evening, Miles asked near the suite door if I understood that the trip no longer looked like our anniversary. He did not raise his voice. The quiet was the point. I told him he was making a vacation into a performance review. He said he was asking because every memory we had made so far had him holding the bag while I stood somewhere else. What he meant was that he was hurt. What I heard was that he wanted me back in my assigned place. I told him the kids were having fun. I told him he was good with them. I told him I deserved a little space after years of being needed. He looked at the balcony table. The sunscreen stick cap sat beside my untouched tea. He said nothing else. The next morning he did not ask what I wanted to do. He told Emma and Noah they were going to build sandcastles after breakfast. He packed their bag without looking at me. That was the first time his silence had a shape. The anniversary dinner was supposed to happen on the 7th night. Miles had mentioned it in small ways for days, not to pressure me, of course, but to keep the plan alive. The thing is, a man can build a beautiful table and still make it feel like another appointment. 2 candles, 1 hidden necklace, and of course I decided the problem was the schedule. That afternoon, the resort suite smelled like sun-warmed laundry and coconut sunscreen. Emma was colouring at the small desk. Noah was lining dinosaurs along the tile floor. Miles stood near the wardrobe with a pale blue shirt in his hand, asking if I still wanted to wear the green dress I had bought for the dinner. He had noticed the dress. He had remembered the dinner. He had probably confirmed the table twice. It should have touched me. Instead, my phone buzzed with a message from Chloe. She said Nikos had arranged a sunset beach party at a club down the coast. Tessa was already getting ready. Maribel had found a dress. Chloe wrote that I could have dinner with my husband any night, but a night like this would not happen twice. I looked at Miles and saw the shirt. I looked at my phone and saw a room where nobody would ask if the children needed snacks. Miles asked who it was. I said Chloe was planning something. He said tonight was our anniversary dinner. Specific. Not angry. Not dramatic. I told him we could celebrate at home. I said Greece had not stopped being Greece because one table was waiting. The words landed between us with a hard little sound. Miles placed the shirt on the bed. He said he had spent almost a year saving for this trip. He said he wanted one night where I looked at him like my husband again, not like the person assigned to carry things. That was his vulnerability. No strategy, no threat, just a man saying the plain thing. I heard a bill being placed in front of me. The thing is, my mother used to say motherhood came with invisible invoices. She said every child asked for pieces of you and every husband called the asking love. When she left for that cruise job, she told me she was choosing air before the house swallowed her. I was 12. I learned early that staying could look noble while eating you alive. So when Miles said he had saved for me, I heard that I owed him the woman he had imagined buying back. I said he was making the trip heavy again. I said he loved a plan more than a person. I said if he wanted romance, maybe he should stop making every hour feel like a family schedule with better sheets. He did not answer at first. Emma looked up from her colouring. Noah made a dinosaur fall off the tile ledge and asked if anyone saw it. Nobody answered. Miles picked up the sunscreen stick from the dresser and put it in the children's beach bag. He did not need it at sunset. I told myself he was just preparing for tomorrow. The reader would probably understand that gesture better than I did then. I changed into the black dress, not the green one. Chloe sent fire emojis. Nikos sent the location pin. Miles took the children to the beach ice cream stand while I finished my makeup in the bathroom mirror. On my way out, he asked if I would at least come to the table for dessert after the party. I said I would try. That was another clean little lie. The beach party was all low music, white cushions, glass lanterns, and women pretending not to check who watched them. Nikos greeted me at the entrance and said the night had improved. He said it where Chloe could hear. Chloe squeezed my wrist like I had won something. I posted a story from the club at the same time Miles was supposed to be sitting across from me at a table with flowers and candles. Sophia called while I was near the bar. My older sister never called during vacations unless someone was bleeding or lying. She asked why my anniversary trip looked like a solo trip with friends. She said Emma had sent her a voice message about Dad taking them for ice cream because Mom had another party. I told Sophia not to make children's comments into court testimony. The words were ugly even before they finished leaving me. She went quiet. Then she said, "Our mother used to call leaving survival too." That should have pierced me. Instead, I said Sophia had always wanted me to be the responsible daughter because she was too tired to do it alone. After that, she stopped arguing. The line stayed open for 1 second too long, then ended. The next morning, the suite was too bright. My shoes were near the balcony door. The green dress still hung in the wardrobe with the tag half turned toward the wall. Emma sat at the desk drawing our family at the beach. There were 4 people in the picture: Dad, Emma, Noah, and a small figure far away near a blue umbrella. She asked why every vacation photo looked like Mom went to Greece alone. No adult sentence came to me. The balcony door was open, and the warm air carried the smell of sunscreen from the towels drying on the chairs. Miles was in the other room packing the children's swim things. The sunscreen stick cap clicked once against the table when the wind moved it. For a few seconds, I saw the trip without my captions. Miles behind the camera, Miles carrying Noah, Miles listening to the joke at the cafe, Miles sitting at an anniversary table where I never came. Emma learning which parents stayed in the frame. The door opened. Not outside. Inside me. Then Noah asked where his blue dinosaur was, and I grabbed the first answer I could use. I told myself Emma was only repeating Miles's mood. I told myself children absorbed adult tension and gave it back in simple words. I told myself a photo grid was not a marriage. I posted another beach club picture that afternoon. The caption said, "Still breathing." Chloe reacted 2 hours later instead of 2 minutes. The boat excursion dock smelled like diesel, salt, and the sweet sunscreen tourists used when they wanted to believe sunburn happened to other people. The thing is, by then I had already crossed so many small lines that the next one looked like a step, not a cliff. 2 tickets, 1 white boat, and of course I told myself Miles had the children handled. Chloe arrived late with sunglasses on, moving slower than usual. Tessa took photos near the rail. Maribel asked if Miles was coming, then answered herself before I did. She said he was probably on dad duty. I laughed because the phrase gave me cover. Nikos stood near the boat ramp, checking names on a clipboard. He greeted me warmly but glanced behind me, as if measuring who had come and who might later complain. That was his first visible act of self-protection. I called it professionalism because that sounded less embarrassing. Miles had asked that morning if the boat trip was something we could do as a family. Emma had wanted to see the blue caves. Noah had wanted to know if boats had toilets. I said the excursion was more for adults. Miles asked if I had checked. I told him not everything had to become a family plan. He took that in. Then he nodded and said he would take the children to the pool. What he meant was that he was done asking for a seat. What I heard was that he had decided to punish me by being useful again. On the boat, Nikos filmed everyone dancing near the front. The wind lifted my hair, and for once my body did not feel like a schedule. Chloe cheered from a bench. Tessa called me the main character. Maribel asked for another angle. I turned toward the camera because it was easier than turning toward the thought of Emma wanting the blue caves. Nikos posted the video and tagged me. I reposted it with a caption about having the best vacation in years. The sentence sat there on my screen, public and shiny. Miles saw it before sunset. When I got back to the suite, he had the children showered and dressed. Emma was on the bed with her book. Noah was asleep already, his mouth open, one dinosaur under his arm. The room smelled like clean soap and the kind of quiet that comes after someone has worked hard not to make noise. Miles stood near the balcony table. The anniversary table reservation card was beside him, folded once. He had moved it from his travel folder. The late dinner was still possible, he said. He had asked the resort to hold a smaller table. No flowers now, no surprise, just dinner. He said he could accept exhaustion. He could accept anger. He could even accept that he had missed parts of me over the years. But he could not accept being turned into entertainment for people who did not love our children and did not care what happened when the music stopped. Final and clean. One offer. No begging. The thing is, he was right about the entertainment. I also was right about something, and that made me dangerous. I told him he had planned a beautiful trip, but still made every hour feel like a family schedule, instead of asking what woman I had become after 15 years. He did not refute it. That silence gave the sentence weight because there was truth inside it. Miles did love through structure. He did make time safe before he made it warm. He did ask if I had eaten when I needed him to ask what I missed about myself. For 1 second, the room had room for both truths. Then I chose the one that protected me. I said Chloe and Nikos made me feel alive without needing a checklist. I said I had not come to Greece to sit across from him and pretend candles fixed years of being useful. I said if he wanted a grateful wife, he should have married someone who did not remember she had a pulse. Emma turned a page too quickly. Miles looked toward the children, then back at me. He said he would handle things properly. No legal words, no threat. Just a tone so calm it made the walls seem organized. I told him to enjoy being dramatic. That was my refusal. It was almost true and still cruel. At the beach club after party, the lights were pink and low. Chloe was there for the first hour, but she kept checking her phone. Nikos leaned close enough for photos and far enough to deny anything. He told me not to tag him in anything that looked like marriage drama because the resort watched staff accounts. I laughed as if that was reasonable. Inside, something small moved. Maribel left early. Tessa stopped filming after midnight. Chloe kissed my cheek and said she was exhausted. Her eyes did not meet mine when she said it. I told myself everyone was just tired. When I returned after sunrise, the suite door opened too easily. No cartoons from the children's tablet, no sandals by the entry, no damp towels over chairs. The beds had been made, the children's bags were gone, Miles's suitcase was gone. My suitcase stood alone near the wardrobe. On the balcony table sat the sunscreen stick cap, the late dinner card, and nothing else. I called Miles. No answer. I called again. No answer. Then I texted Chloe. The message showed as delivered. I watched her status turn active, then disappear. Hours later, she replied with only a heart reaction. That was all. The woman who had turned every bad idea into freedom gave me one small shape on a screen. Nikos answered faster. He said I should not tag him anymore. He said his manager had questions. The thing is, I still tried to be angry before I tried to be afraid. Anger kept my hands busy. I packed badly, stuffing dresses into the suitcase while leaving the green one on its hanger. I called the front desk and asked if my husband had checked out. The clerk said Mr. Carter and the children had departed early that morning. Mr. Carter and the children, not my family, not my husband. A booking note. I told myself he had no right to leave me alone in Greece. Of course, that sentence needed me to ignore every night I had left him alone first. At the airport 2 days later, I posted nothing. My phone felt heavy in my palm, full of evidence I still thought I could caption differently. I wrote 3 versions of a message to Sophia and deleted all of them. I opened Chloe's chat and saw that she had muted the group thread. The flight home was quiet because nobody needed me. That should have felt like freedom. The airport arrivals hall smelled like coffee, wet coats, and metal luggage carts. I came through the doors alone, wearing the beach club bracelet because I had forgotten to cut it off. 2 wheels on my suitcase kept sticking. One family waited near the rail with balloons, and of course I looked away before their happiness could become an accusation. Grace stood near the far wall with Emma and Noah. Miles was beside them, but not close enough for me to claim him with a look. Emma held her backpack straps with both hands. Noah leaned against Grace's leg, sleepy and serious. A man in a grey jacket stepped toward me and said my name. He asked if I was Amanda Reyes Carter. I said yes before I understood why Grace had turned her face toward the floor. He handed me a formal envelope and asked me to sign for it. My fingers left a small damp mark on the paper. I signed where he pointed. Then I stood with the envelope against my chest while travellers moved around me like water around a stone. The document was a petition for dissolution of marriage with motion for temporary parenting plan and temporary financial restraint order. The first temporary orders hearing was scheduled for the following Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Inside were printed copies of my Greece posts, the cafe recording from Nina Costa, the missed anniversary reservation, the early flight confirmation, and my own messages saying Miles could handle the children. I tried to say he had abandoned me in a foreign country. The airport officer near the rail asked if I had been unsafe, without money, or unable to travel. Not cruel, not kind, just exact. My answer would not become the story I wanted. Miles spoke once. He said I left first, and he only stopped waiting. Then he walked away before Grace moved, before the children moved, before I could turn his face into another scene. On my phone, Nikos's profile had already removed the boat video. My last message to him showed one grey check, then nothing. I stayed in the guest room for 3 nights, then moved into a short-term apartment near my office with white walls and rented plates. The joint travel savings account was frozen under temporary orders until the hearing. Sophia stopped answering late-night calls. Nina from work unfollowed me, and Grace became the contact for child exchanges. Nikos blocked me and told the resort manager I had only been part of a guest group. My agency removed me from the family renewal campaign after a client asked why their travel director had gone viral for erasing her own family. The thing is, I thought freedom meant choosing every room where nobody needed me. I thought being wanted by people with no history was proof that I had not disappeared. What it cost me was the only room where I had ever been needed without performing. The quiet did not ask for me anymore. The sunscreen cap was in Emma's backpack, not mine. I came home from Greece with a tan line where my wedding ring used to be.